Welcome back to Talking Walls, and here we are with the Sell, Loan, Keep series. Series that comes around so quick at the end of every season, where we look at the Wolves squad and pick out who we would sell, who we would keep, and who we would loan out for the 23-24 season. My name is Dave. Alongside me today, we have Mr. Matt Cooper. Matt, how are you keeping?
Yeah, very well, thanks, mate. It's nice to be on the other end
of
the podcast. So it gives me a chance to put my opinions across a bit more. But yeah, doing well, thanks, mate.
Good, man. We've got George Russell. George, how are you?
I'm all good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, all good, thank you. All good. And to finish us off, we have got Mr. Finn Morris. Finn, how are we?
Oh, good. Thank you as well, mate. Glad for it all to be over for a while. Kind of a bit of a break.
I know. This is part one of the series. We'll have part 2 and part 3 over the next couple of days as well. So part 1, we're going to be looking at the goalkeepers and defenders and giving our quick thoughts on them. Matt, we'll start with the goalkeepers. We'll start with Mr. Jose Sarr. It's been a difficult season for him. He set himself such high standards last year, I suppose. But what's your thoughts on Sarr and his position in the team next season?
Severely under threat, if you ask me. I think last season he had a really good season, but almost a bit of a false dawn if you look at this season, because he's been awful. He's kept us in games, but he's also chucked games away. And in the Arsenal game, for me, come back into the side with a point to prove. And I haven't seen the third and fourth goal. The fifth goal, I've seen him just bundle it over the line. So for me, you're looking. I know we're looking at 2 new goalkeepers there. I don't think either of them are good enough.
Yeah, Jordan, I mean, Matt sort of alluded to it there. He came out the squad over the last few weeks. He's had issues predominantly with probably players pressing him and the ball at his feet. It's probably been one of his weaknesses. But how do you see Jose Sarr, the same as Matt? Do you think a new number one's needed next year?
100%. I just don't think he's good enough. Like a few of them in this squad that, I'm sure everyone will get bored of me saying we should get rid of the lot. But no, he's definitely one of them. He ain't good enough with his feet. He overperformed last year, probably underperformed this year to some extent. And yeah, you know what? He's had some decent games after the World Cup, made some decent saves, but he's just got far too many ricks in him for me. And if a goalkeeper makes a mistake, it's usually a goal. And for me, he's just not good enough. Moving forward.
Yeah, Finn, do you think it's just that a certain way that Lopetegui wants to play as well? Obviously, if Lopetegui is going to be the head coach next season, but it's obvious he wants a goalkeeper that can play with the football at his feet a little bit more. Is that a weakness of Sarr's? Is that why possibly you'd look to move him on?
Yeah, I think that change in style overall under Lopetegui, it's not helped him at all, has it? And it's not a massive priority for me, this one. Maybe not both goalkeepers like a massive overhaul. We don't know how much we're going to be able to overhaul full stop, do we? But yeah, if it was my opinion, I think I'd get rid of Sarr, keep Bentley. I don't want to go too far forward and fly through this too quickly. But no, yeah, for Sarr, it's if you can find a decent replacement, a decent price, which I think we're going to have to look for all over the market, then yeah, it's probably a sell. Thanks for the memories, but
it's no surprise. I mean, the home games where teams don't necessarily press high, I think Villa was one that springs to mind, and they didn't press as high, and we had very little issues throughout the 90. But it sounds like we've got 3 no's. I mean, I'd add a no. No sell. It feels like Simon Cowell. No, yes. 3 sells. I'll add a 4th to that. Are we all in agreement to let Sarr go?
Jose Sarr through to the judges' houses.
We'll move on, Finn. We'll start with you for Dan Bentley. Obviously, you sort of made out there, I know Matt and Jordan made comments about it as well, but Dan Bentley's been a backup. He's had a few opportunities, half decent game at United. You could arguably say that, I wouldn't say he's solely to blame for the draw against Everton, but it was his mistake that led to their goal. Would you be willing to, keep him as a deputy goalkeeper next year?
I wouldn't passionately go, you've got to keep him. But I think as a backup goalkeeper goes, they've said he's been good since he's come in the dressing room. Ticks a homegrown box, which we don't tick in many places in the squad. So for me, if he's not going to get too many games, he's not going to cause too many problems. Yeah, then he's just a keep for next season. Yeah,
George, what do you reckon about Dan Bentley?
I think I'd definitely keep him as well. Same reasons as Finn, really, for the quota for one. I thought Man United, he was exceptional. To be honest with you, it could have been 5, 6, 7 without him in goal. I think his distribution's good enough. Definitely better than Sarr's. Yeah, granted, he could have done better with the Everton goal. Not quite sure where he was going, but I've seen enough. He seems like a good fit, and you know what? It's one of those things. You do need these squad, for the quota. So I would keep him. I think he's done more than enough to be a number 2.
Yeah, Matt, like Jordan Finney said, homegrown, Probably adds that little bit of leadership to the dressing room, which Lopetegui looked for in January. I know you maybe say let him go, but what are you thinking?
I mean, I'd be happy to keep him as long as he's not the number one. From when we've done podcasts before, when we spoke to the likes of Sace and Ruddy, I feel like as fans, you underestimate the importance of having characters in the dressing room, and they said that themselves, and probably one of the reasons why the Wolves have had such a demise over the past couple of years. So, if you want to keep him and he's happy playing that role, then yeah, homegrown quota as well, which is even more important this season, isn't it, Dave? Or
yeah. I think next year, yeah, because for next season, because a lot of players like Neto and certain players move up to that next age bracket. But I think you're right. Obviously, there's going to be other players that we talk about, obviously later in this video and later in the other two videos, that are what we class as more senior members of the squad that probably will be let go. So probably important with players that we've got at the moment that we keep them. So Dan Bentley a keep. I'll start with you, Mateo Sarkic. He's had 2 loan moves out the last couple of years. One to Birmingham City, where he did really well, ended off with an injury. Had one at Stoke City, second half of this season. Again, did really well, but again got a slight knock towards the end of it. What's your stance on him?
I think it's probably time to move him on. Again, not someone who fills me full of confidence. I think quite similar to Sarr in that looks like a decent shot stopper, but in terms of distribution, he's way off it. It's an expensive commodity finding a keeper who's good at everything, and they go for obviously quite a lot of money. So I think it's time to move on. I was actually speaking to a Stoke City fan on holiday, and he said how well Sarkic had done. I mean, he probably had about 9-6 on the beaches by then, so it's probably clouding his judgment. But I think it's time to let him go, and you probably get a couple of million for him as well.
Yeah, I think so as well. George, like I said, Matt said there, I spoke to Stoke fans as well who have been, impressed by him. Birmingham, he had a really good campaign. So I think you get a couple of million from a championship side, wouldn't you?
100%, yeah. No, for me, again, a sell. I saw enough in those 15, 20 minutes at Liverpool away where I think he kicked I think the first 5 or 6 times he got the ball, he put it out of play. Lopetegui was going bananas on the sidelines, and it all of a sudden just started kicking long. So, yeah, he just was that. And that's why we got Dan Bentley, I think, in January. He just thought, I need someone who can actually play with the ball at the feet from the back. And, look, it hasn't really worked out for him here. I think he was player of the season at Blues, wasn't he, as well? So he come with it, got a decent
played
reputation.
once after Christmas, New Year's Day as well.
Yeah, so it's one of them. You might get a couple million quid for him, but he hasn't made an impact on the squad to say we're going to miss him either way. To be honest,
I think we signed him on a free as well, or if not a very small fee. So it'd be a profit either way for the club. And Finn, just final thoughts on Sarkic?
Yeah, echo those thoughts. Really, I think as Matt said, he's got all the attributes to be have a very good championship career where it's not as necessarily important to have those capabilities with his feet yet. Anyway, it's not quite progressed. No Guardiola's in the championship. So, yeah, it's another sort of reluctant sell. It's sad it didn't work out. And I think he ticks the homegrown quota as well, doesn't he, despite him being from Montenegro. So, it's another sell, I guess. We've got one player.
I mean, I know we're not talking about replacements, but I know we've spoken about Patterson before from Sunderland. Even someone like Kelleher from Liverpool, I think could come and play Premier League football as a starting role. And I don't think they'd cost the earth, saying that Liverpool will probably hand over fist like they normally do with players. So no, still playing adjust some money back. So
it's always. I mean, Keller, I've heard shouts of before. I'd just be concerned about the lack of first team football that he's had, in recent years as well. But it'd be interesting. We'll wait and see. I'm sure, obviously, if Sarr is sold, we'll see the rumours of goalkeepers that are coming in.
How much are you asking for Sarr for? We've got 2 years left on his deal.
I'd want about 10 million, I reckon.
I think that's fair enough.
I reckon
I was waiting for that. How much? No,
I reckon you get a bit more. Yeah.
How much should we pay? About around that, was
12, wasn't it?
Was it? Oh, if you can get your money back, I think I'd try that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think 15's probably fair. In and around that.
Yeah. Well, we'll wait and see. Probably one that's going to spark, obviously, a little bit of chat, because this is a player, Ryan Aït-Nouri, Finn, who on paper it seems like isn't in Lopetegui's plans and will probably be moved on by the club. But obviously, us as fans, I suppose, see quite a talented footballer there.
Yeah, I think that little cameo that he did get in the final game, you sort of saw what we've seen a lot of the time, where gave the ball away in some terrible positions, but then also wiggled the right stick on FIFA for a while and pulled off some great moves down the left as well. I think he's a fantastic left wing back. It just hasn't looked great. I don't think at any points at left back, even when Lopetegui was playing him on the left wing, and we saw probably better performances in that position. He's just not really a left back in that system. I don't think. If we do swap to a 5, which I think I'm going to try and push for on the podcast later on in the week, I've got a plan cooking in my head. That is not going to happen, but I've got some plans. So I would like to keep him. I'm trying to grasp at straws for a way to keep him, but realistically, he's probably going to leave. So, but for me, he's a keep.
Yeah, George, Finn's probably right. You know, he's better cameos under Lopetegui. Actually, when he's probably started further up, or his best moments are in the final third. You know, we saw Everton where he got himself a goal. Was it the Gillingham game where he came on in quite an attacking position? I know it was Gillingham, but I'm sure he created 1 or 2 half decent opportunities in that game as well. But I mean, like I've already said, his position at the club seems, it looks like he's got question marks over it. But what are your thoughts on his position?
I would sell him because he's got resale value, and Lopetegui clearly didn't fancy him. The only caveat to that is the Magic Man Scott Sellers put a 50% sell-on clause back to Angers, didn't he? So anything we get, we're giving half away anyway. So maybe you keep him for that sake, because what do you sell him for? Where it's worth getting 20 million and we get
you're just making your money back, aren't you? Not making any profit. Yeah.
So maybe you just keep him, but the reality is Lopetegui don't fancy him. So yeah, sell. I've got no real ill feeling either way, really, to keep him.
Yeah, Matt, it's a shame because he's obviously clearly a talented player, and then there was a decision to be made. Was it going to be Aït-Nouri or was it going to be Vitinha? We ended up going for Aït-Nouri, which we sort of all thought at the time was probably the better move, but in reality, we've stood still, and now Vitinha's playing for one of the best teams in the world.
Yeah, Wolves can buy out the 50% clause as well, but it's probably not even worth it with what they're probably going to fetch from at the minute. I don't know. I think with a lot of these players that we're going to discuss, I think it all depends who's the manager. Because I think if someone else comes in, they'll probably value Aït-Nouri a lot higher, because talented player, whether his applications as much as his talent, it remains to be seen. It's only stuff we can speculate on, but I don't know. I don't keep him around. He barely plays, paying his wages. I think if we're in, as dire financial straits as we're made to believe, then I think it's best for all parties that we try and get a sale. But I don't think you're going to get much for him. Probably 10 or 15 million. You might make your money back.
So what do we think is a general consensus? Are we saying sell?
I wouldn't mind him going out on loan somewhere, to be honest.
Right, that makes life a bit difficult for us, unless I've got like a rainbow colour thing.
Yeah, one of everything.
I would like to keep him because I can see there's a talented player there, but I sort of also appreciate there's value there, and we probably do have to cash in on him.
Well, the Talking Wolves buy, loan, sell law is what we do, isn't it? Not what we think Lopetegui would do.
I'd keep him. Matt, what are you saying? The loan out?
Yeah, I know.
That's not a bad shout.
We've done it before where we've done loans. We did it 4 years ago. It was on transfer rumours. But I'd say keep and loan out. So keep, but it has to go for a loan.
Loan, okay. We're doing loans as well. George, what do you reckon?
If it's me talking, I'd keep him. Well, I think you keep him because I don't think we're getting our money back for him, and you're giving 50% away anyway. So just keep him around. We're going to gut a lot of the rest, or I certainly would anyway. So we've got to keep a few.
Finn, you're the decision maker here, mate.
No, yeah, I was happy to keep him. I was trying to angle for that, but I can see a world in which he's sold. Keep him. Give him 4 Red Bulls in the morning. That seems to be the problem, doesn't it? That he's not arsed in training, and he's not arsed in general life. Yeah. So if we just keep him highly caffeinated, keep him beautiful.
Jordan, I'm going to start with you on this one. Nathan Collins, player who came to the club with a lot of promise.
Golden buzzer, Jordan.
Half decent fee spent on him. Started the season, but as soon as Lopetegui came, he'd been dropped and been given very few opportunities. And I suppose you look at that game against Arsenal, you could sort of see why. But What do you think next season has for Nathan Collins?
There's a player. I'm telling you now, there's a player in there. So I think you've probably got to loan him because it's not doing him any good sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
He seems very rusty. I mean, I watched it, and again, this is not Wolves related, but I watched him play against France in like the qualifier, not like the last international break, and he was unbelievable against France. And that was against like Giroud and Mbappe and all those sort of players, and he comfortably held his own. And the Ireland fans rave about him, and I think there's a player there. It's just I think it's one of those things. Centre half, you need a bit of any player that comes out from the cold to come in, especially Arsenal away have been they've been the second best team in the country all year. It's tough. It's really tough. So he's been getting a bit of flack. I think that's because of the price tag and that sort of stuff. But out of probably the 3 recognised centre halves we've got at the club, he definitely isn't the one I'd be selling. Put it like that.
Matt, do you think a loan could work for Nathan Collins? Maybe it's such a risk because of his fee, I suppose, but maybe you'd probably aim for some sort of top end of the championship, probably if you could. But again, the championship is such an unpredictable league, But maybe one of the if you could push him towards maybe a Leeds or Leicester, that sort of type of team that's probably going to be fighting towards the top end of the championship.
Even going abroad and doing something like Fabio's done. Playing top end of the Eredivisie or something like that. I know
that's what Branthwaite
was done really well at Everton. I think they paid obviously a lot of money for him. He's come in as a starting 11. It hasn't worked out really. It looked class with Kilman to start with, and then they both completely fell off a cliff. And I still think the same about Kilman. Don't think he's good enough, but I think it's important to remember he's still only 22, and he's still got a big career ahead of him. I agree with Jord. I think he's a good player in there. I don't rate him as high as Jord does, but I don't even think Nathan Collins' mom rates him as high as Jord does. So a loan, or it depends what the players wants to do. I mean, he's still a young lad. If you say to him, look, you're not going to be starting centre half, but you're going to get opportunities, you might want to go out and play, but I definitely wouldn't be selling him because you wouldn't be getting anywhere near what you paid for him.
Yeah. Finn, what do you reckon?
Yeah, very similar. He's had very good moments, hasn't he, to begin with? There's that picture going around at the moment where it was Kilman and Collins winning 100% of the aerial duels in that early game against Southampton. We had a great defensive record start the season. Boots, Grealish, so he was off to a flyer, and then it's gone downhill. Maybe he'd look better in a back five. But yeah, if he's not going to start every week at that age, possibly another loan on the list.
I keep thinking of almost like someone like Ben White a few years ago when he went out on loan to Leeds, did really well. Went to Brighton, had a great season. So what we're saying, loan?
Championship, yeah, but loan.
Yeah, loan. Right, there we go, loan. Craig Dawson, Finn, he's coming to the team. I assume I know what the answer is to this one. Added some real steel to the defence, and I'd assume you want him here again next season.
Yeah, I mean, we have shipped a lot of goals in some games with him as well, but you could also see in that Arsenal game that sort of the lack of big Craig at the back. So, I'd get him. How old is he now? 30, 33, 34? There's not going to be much resale value, and he's been vital. I think we'd have gone down without him. I know it might be a bit reactionary with the Arsenal game, but I think we would have. So, yeah, keep.
Yeah, 33 now. Jordan, I'd assume you're the same.
Absolutely. I think... keep him, give him the armband next year as well. For me, I think with Neves likely to be going out the door, I don't think there's anyone better than to give Craig Dawson the armband. And for me, thinking about it, I know this is probably more for the pod we record a bit later on this week, but for me, I think he's our player of the season as well in terms of impact he's had on the team. So, I absolutely keep.
Yeah, and Matt.
Keep, mate. Yeah, no brainer.
Yeah, that was nice and easy. Matt, you made a mention Max Kilman as well a short while ago. Again, such a strange season. There are apparently teams linked with him. Tottenham, Napoli are the latest teams that have been mentioned. But would you let him go? Again, probably with him being English, a player that's got quite a bit of value still. I
think the Napoli interest is only if Kim leaves, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's just not for me. He has one great game, and then and I've only seen 25 minutes of the Arsenal game, and that was enough. It's just, I don't know. There's just something about him I'm just not sold on. I'd quite happily let him go for 20 million, 25 million if that's what they're touting around as the figure. So yeah, it's just not aggressive enough for me either. A big lad like that, I don't know. I just don't think he's that good. And I know people say that George has an agenda against Kilman, but I don't know. I don't know. I just don't rate him. As high as others do. I'd love for someone to be brought in alongside Dawson, because I don't think Totti's good enough either. We'll come on to that. But someone alongside Dawson, and centre halves are only as good as each other. It's as much about partnerships as it is individuals. So, yeah.
As mad as it sounds, I think like in a bigger team or a team that doesn't have as much sort of, or a team that has more control on the game, he'd probably be okay. But I think it's when with us as obviously a lesser team and we're getting attacked a lot more. I think defensively, he's actually, as mad as it sounds, he's not that great in those sort of, being run at and so on, and gets caught out position wise.
He gets pulled about a lot.
Yeah. But I think of a bigger team, as crazy as it sounds, he'd probably be okay because on the ball he's not too bad. Passing wise, technically he's all right. But Jord, again, like I said, probably there is value there, and if Wolves are in this financial situation, there's going to be a sellable asset there, isn't there? And a player that probably isn't going to be one of your first names on the team sheet.
Honestly, I'll drive him there tomorrow. Like Napoli, Tottenham, like whoever. Honestly, I just don't get it. For me, I think he's fucking awful. Like genuinely, like. If the reason why he's got value and the only reason he's been playing is because he's left-footed and there's a bit of balance there from that. I think he's bang average, and I have done for a very long time. And people can say I've got an agenda. I ain't got an agenda. I've just watched a lot of football, and he ain't good enough. And I do agree with you, Dave, that he'll look better in a team where they're not, where they've got more ball, more possession, all that sort of stuff. But as a centre half, not aggressive enough, don't win his duels enough, don't win headers. For me, he just ain't up for it. And if Napoli go from Kim Min-jae to Max Kilman, fuck me, they're going to be so disappointed. I'm telling you.
I think he wins quite a fair amount of duels in the air just because of his size, but he doesn't attack the ball. Like you see Dawson attack
not
the
aggressive.
ball, and it's the same with set pieces. Like you don't go and see him attacking the ball. He's very flat-footed. But I think he wins a lot of the stats. I ain't got the stats in front of me, but we'll suggest he wins a lot of his aerial duels. But so would I if I was 6'5".
Yeah. So I'd assume Matt, you're a sell, are you?
Yeah.
George, you're a sell, obviously. Finn, what's your stance?
See, those two weren't at the Express and Star podcast in the week, were they, Dave, with me and you? And Liam Keane seemed to suggest that he doesn't take criticism very well. So at risk of Talking Wolves never getting an interview with him, if he does leave, do you want me to throw a little? You
want to add to that as well? After we did the FIFA player card, I've got Max Kilman's player card in my house still. From when we did the FIFA video, so that can go.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like you messaged him asking him to sign it, and he told you to do it.
Yeah. No, I'm under no illusion. Max Kilman would tell me to fuck off, but that's
I don't think he'd ever probably do an interview with us anyway. But from interviews I've seen him do, he put a fucking glass eye to sleep, so I don't think we're missing out much.
Right, well, I tried to extend the hand out, but maybe not. The thing is, if we've got to raise cash, I'm happy with him to be one of the sacrificial lambs.
That's how I feel, Finn. Knowing, like I said, now we know that we need to raise a bit of money. He's somehow one of the most saleable assets. So yeah, I wouldn't be asked if he left for a decent fee. To be fair, I said that about all of them.
Yeah, I'm going to put
that. I
that
probably need to clear it up as well, haven't I? Like, I've got nothing personally against Max Kilman. I'm sure he's a lovely lad. However, I just don't rate him as a footballer, and that's my opinion. And that's fine. There you go, Max Kilman. There you
go. Right, well, I'm wary of the time, so we'll try and smash through these ones a bit quicker now. Finn, Nelson Tomato just triggered his new contract, so he's still a Wolves player for the next 2 years. But again, such a Marmite player. Some people think he's really kicked on since Lopetegui's come in, and some people are still curious about his performances.
Yeah, one of the players that we've heard actually wants to stay at the club. There's a lot of seems to be want-aways or people unhappy. So he's a breath of fresh air at the moment. I think I keep him around. He's not been anywhere near the player that we thought he was going to be, has he? But solid enough, getting better towards the end of the season. So yeah, he's a keep for me.
Yeah, George, you probably want maybe from next season onwards. You know, we saw under Bruno Lage, he got himself in some great positions, but you probably want a few more goals and assists from him next season if he was to stay around.
Yeah, without getting tarnished with like your Dar thing about Doherty's goal contributions, I do think Semedo should do better in that sort of column, but he's a far better footballer than Matt Doherty. And for me, this might be a bit controversial, but I would probably sell him as well in terms of I feel like he's a sellable asset again with this. I think Atletico Madrid are very keen on him. If we got 25, 30 million quid for him, I think we could replace him. I do think we could replace him with someone like 15 million pound mark. I genuinely really do.
Or Matt Doherty on a free? Thoughts? No? Okay. George's tempted. So Matt, are you a sell then, George? Or are you a keep?
As of today, with things going on with our financial fair play issues, I think he's one of the most sellable assets we've got. So I would sell him because I think we can replace him for.
How much do you think we get for him?
25, 30 million.
How much? Fucking hell.
I do. Why not?
Nelson Semedo on about here still.
Yeah, I think we get. I think we get 25 million quid for him. 28, 29.
I'm not sure about that.
How much do you reckon then? 15.
20 million tops.
We paid what? 37 was it? All included. I think Atletico Madrid won him.
Yeah.
And another one we got our pants pulled down. But yeah, look, I would sell him. In terms of what we know from today, 29th of May, we're in the shit, apparently, financial fair play. I would sell him. But I would keep him if we didn't have to sell.
Matt, what do you think?
I'd be happy to sell him. I think Lopetegui really likes him, but from what George said, I don't agree with the fees banded around. But I think for 20 million, you can more than replace him. So, sell him.
Okay. I thought it'd be a resounding keep. To be fair,
we're in grave danger here, having no players.
Yeah,
so, I mean, we've all just
need a revolution. Get rid of
just Diego Costa.
Now, let's put sell on Nelson, which I'm surprised at that. Let's talk about a player that we know definitely is going to be around next season, Matt. Johnny.
Finn.
Do we need to have a discussion?
Who's gonna buy him?
You get a few mil. That's it.
No one's going to buy him. He's on good money. He's got no knees.
I do feel for him because how good was he before?
Oh, mate, he was
one of the most unbelievable player.
Yeah. But since he's been very, very poor. Very.
I mean, put like this. Yeah. I was going to say, if he was a racehorse, he would have been put down after his first knee operation, let alone his second. And that's just that's the truth. Like,
what did I say to you? You remember when he was still recovering from that first injury? He came back first week and they give him a new contract, and then the other ACL went.
Same with Neto as well.
I know, and I did feel bad for moaning about that, but I was there like, he's been back a week. You can't give him a new long-term contract.
Yeah. He was so good that one to do now. He was excellent. But
he's arguably, I think he's arguably one
pound for pound.
If you're doing like a Wolves 11 in our lifetime, I think Johnny quite easily gets in that team.
Best Fosun signings up there, isn't it?
Yeah, pound for pound, one of the best signings we've made.
Unbelievable.
But put down isn't an option, so I'm going to say sell.
And obviously the one thing disappointing, and we still don't know the ins and outs of it, is that obviously he wasn't at the lap of honour at the end of the game against Everton as well.
From what Lopetegui said, though, for me, it sounded like he wanted Martinez involved, but he couldn't be asked. But Johnny wasn't going to be in the squad anyway.
Yeah, but sure, he'd still be at the ground.
Yeah.
Unless Lopetegui is like, there are some managers that say, if you're not in the squad, I don't want you around. Unless he's one of them, Warnock type, who knows. Right, we're putting sell on Johnny. Finn, before we get to the other two, I'll start with you, Totti Gomez.
I think keep Portuguese international now.
Not
Yeah, as I've said all through the season, he'll always have a place in my heart for my Grasshoppers FM save. So yeah, he's a keep. Versatile, left-footed as well. Like we were saying, maybe that's accounted for a lot of Kilman's value. So yeah, I think you're certainly going to make your money back if you sold him because he was signed for a very small fee. But yeah, he's probably a keep for next season. Seems like good around the. I know they have to actually be good at football. It's not just being good around the dressing room, but he seems like he's good as well. So
yeah, Jordan, what do you reckon? Obviously, coming to this, I think he'd be a half decent squad player, but to play sort of devil's advocate a bit, with him being a Portuguese international now, there is probably that little bit of value in there, isn't there? For a player that,
there is.
I mean, by this podcast, only 50% of people like.
No, so okay. First of all, congratulations to Totti Gomez for getting called up. That's one thing I will say. Second thing I'll say, they must be in dire straits for left fullbacks in Portugal.
It's Roberto Martinez, isn't it?
In my opinion. So like, he's growing on me, Totti. I think he's very raw still. We've said that. I think he looks a little bit awkward on the ball. We've said that as well. But he's played like 30 games, hasn't he? I think something daft like that. It's not a lot in terms of, and he's getting better. And I'll definitely keep him because I do think there's potential there. I think he's very raw, like I said. Begrudge him the odd bad game, and he's been called up for Portugal, so maybe and I don't necessarily agree with this, but to play devil's advocate, Roberto Martinez probably knows more about football than I do. So
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think he does.
I was like I said, devil's advocate. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He's
and that's not me complimenting you, George.
No, I know. So but no, fair play to him. He's had a fantastic end to the season. Now been called up to Portugal squad. I hope he makes his debut and absolutely keep him for next season.
You're going to get your Totti Gomez Portugal shirt and order them, mate? Or?
No, you know what? Fair play to him because I wouldn't have selected him. And I think you keep him. No ifs, no buts, no maybes. I think you keep him. Maybe as cover for your centre half, and he can slot in at left centre half. Yeah, he's had a good season. I still don't really rate him that highly. He gives me kittens when he's on the ball. I think defensively, he's probably one of our best defenders, but on the ball, he's someone put on Twitter earlier, I don't think he started playing football until he was like 16, 17, because he was playing rugby, which probably explains a lot.
Rugby?
Yeah, apparently so. I saw it on Twitter. If it's real or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, I'd keep him. He's had, like I said, one of our better performing players. I don't know if that's because we weren't expecting much from him. But yeah, and fair play for the Portuguese call up, man.
Yeah. Hugo Bueno, Matt, as well, sort of a breakthrough season for him, I suppose. And although he was very poor, I would say, against Arsenal, but against such a young and raw talent, but still a lot more to give, I suppose.
Yeah, very much his breakthrough season. Very contrasting, though, in terms of you look how he played against Saka at Molineux, kept him in his back pocket. Look how he coped with him for the first 25 minutes. Is all I've seen. Look, a completely different player. So, yeah, I think that's inexperiences, and those inconsistencies will be ironed out over time. But yeah, I think he deserves a place in the squad. It'd be interesting to see whether it's kind of like him or Ryan Giles as well, because Giles had a really good season at Middlesbrough. So, yeah, I'd keep him. He's been had a good season.
Yeah, George, again, like Matt said, had those inconsistencies, which you're going to get normally with a young player anyway, but possibly maybe as a number 2 choice left back. We've said about Totti maybe just being a backup left back or a backup centre back. Do you think maybe another left back should come in if Aït-Nouri goes?
It's tough, isn't it? Because you just don't know what the plan is with Giles. And again, what I know Finn mentioned there, if we're going to go into a 5 or a 4 next season, there's so many unknowns we know at the moment. So I definitely think you keep Bueno for now. I know he's been touted by someone like the bigger clubs, and it might be, again, with our precarious financial position that we're led to believe, if someone comes in and offers you stupid money for Hugo Bueno, and by stupid, I mean 30 million plus, in terms of just buying on potential, then you obviously have to do it. For me, you have to pull the trigger, because
I think you're flogging for 20 million, if I'm honest.
Yeah, there is that, that's what I mean. It's sort of like, I think what I've seen of him what we've seen him as Wolves fans, is definitely an exceptional footballer in there. And you could quite easily see him fitting in. Again, this is a massive outlandish shout, but if Guardiola goes, you know what, if I brought him for 20 million, I could probably do something with him over 12, 24 months and get him into my sort of style and system. There is that sort of player there. He could, I think he could quite easily slot in at something like that.
Yeah. Finn, Bueno.
Yeah, before this, I was angling, because you are going to have almost 8 Nori, Giles, Bueno. I was almost angling to think loan, but with those points, I do agree with George as well. It does scream one like that, where, like what Guardiola did with Zinchenko, like that guy that played number 10, put him left back. That's that same way Bueno went. And we saw in those early games like that assist straight away in his debut. And there's been good points there, but as you say, it has been maybe a slow decline from, illustrated by how he dealt with Saka the first time and the second time. So, yeah, I think I'd probably just about keep. I think all our left backs are better as left wing backs. It's like they're all very, very good, well, better going forward. So, yeah, I think I'll go with a keep. But if you do get, as Matt said, maybe anywhere north of 20 million, it's probably a sell. Again, in the position we're in. I know we're being so ruthless here. The bottom of the screen is just going to look red. But it's just the situation we're in.
At the moment, we've got 5 people we're keeping anyway, but we're moving on to the players out on loan now. So we'll do this quite quick fire. Matt, weird situation going on. Connor Cody, I think, is he burnt his bridges with Wolves? Is his time up in Old Gold?
Yeah, I think he'll probably stay at Everton, but yeah, go for me.
Yeah, George.
Go, but I think he'll end up at Sheffield United.
Yeah, I mean, Finn, again, I think it's going to be one of those two teams, probably, isn't it?
Yeah,
what do you think?
I'm happy to
come back.
Well, if we play the 5, but this is never going to happen, so I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop after the defenders with this if puts and maybes. But no, yeah, there is a world in which he stays, isn't there? Because you're not going to get a massive amount of money for him. Like, as in, if we were happy to accept 4.5, that value's only probably gone down with his season at Everton. So you're not going to get much, but it's probably is a sell. I don't think the bridges aren't fully burnt, are they? Basically, what I'm trying to say, there is a world, but it most likely a sell. Yeah,
Everton buy him, sell him to Sheffield United.
Yeah, 10 million. The thing is, Everton would have paid a pretty decent loan fee, to be fair. So that's why the is so low anyway. I said players out on loan. Sorry, Dexter Lembakisa, Matt, he's on there as well. I think EFL teams linked with him for a loan. Again, he's probably at the stage now where he needs first team football.
Yeah, get him out on loan.
Yeah, Jord.
Loan.
Finn.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think he'd be perfect to you back 5 as well, Finn. But not quite in there.
What is he cooking?
Finn, Ryan Giles, now he's been mentioned a few times, had another very, very good season in the Championship. Never really, Nuno gave him 1 or 2 opportunities, but again, he's probably a player that is slightly better as a left wing back, playing a little bit further up, but pretty versatile, could play all down that left-hand side. Do you think this is the year where he's given a chance, or do you think it could be a player that's sold? Similar sort of maybe to a Morgan Gibbs-White sort of situation?
Yeah, I really hope he is given a chance. It's one of those almost like with Kilman, because he's going to break into the team so late. He's what, 23 now? You always think Kilman's younger than he is because he broke in to the Wolves team so late, but he's more than held his own as a Championship left back. So if we did play, as we most likely will play a 4, I think he's definitely got a chance. I think it's one where you just see him pre-season. It's not going to be an early loan, I don't think. I think they'll assess him in pre-season, and if he does go out, as you say, if it is a loan or a sale, it will be later on. But I really hope he impresses and is given a chance. But then you are stacked. One of those 3 has probably got to go in the left back area.
Yeah, George, what do you reckon?
I'd like to keep him. Just I think there's a player in there. I think he's been top assister 2 years in a row, is he, in the Championship?
Correct, yeah, pretty much.
Back to back. Yeah, so I'd like to see him. I think there's probably, again, depending on formation system, I think if we end up more so in that 4-4-2, you're probably more likely to see him as like a left midfielder rather than a left back. But yeah, I'd like to see him. I think it'd be good, to blood someone who's come through the academy and that sort of stuff. So I'd like to take a look at him in pre-season, take it from there. Again, wouldn't be surprised if we sold him later on in the window, but if you're asking me now, keep him.
Yeah, Matt, you reckon the
same?
Yeah,
I agree with George.
Yeah. Be nice to see him give an opportunity. Like I said, Nuno gave him 1 or 2 chances, but never really broke into that first team framing it. Keanu Hoover, Matt, again, has enjoyed a half-decent second half of the season. An absolute shocker at PSV up until January. But second half of the season's settled down a little bit at Stoke City. Do you think another loan move's needed for him?
Yeah, I think so. To try and revive his career a little further. I think he probably doesn't have a future at Wolves, but they'll probably want to try and get as much money back if they can from him. So yeah, I think another loan move and then ultimately move him off. But it's been a shocking signing.
Yeah, 10 million quid, Jord. Again, another player that we thought maybe could play centre half, maybe could play as a right back. That's where he's been playing for Stoke as a right back. But like Matt said, it's probably, don't think you'll make your money back now, but you probably need to loan him out again, don't you?
Yeah, got to cut our losses, haven't we?
Yeah.
And I was quite excited when we signed him. I just thought it'd be a decent signing. How wrong I was. So yeah, cut your losses, loan, sell, whatever. Just get whatever you can for him and move him on.
Yeah, I mean, Lopetegui's not actually seen him, Finn, but do you think that will give him maybe an opportunity to have a little bit of time in pre-season? Or again, he probably, like we've said with a couple of these players, just needs as much first team football as he can.
Yeah, I don't know how it went in these last few months, but there was that period, wasn't there, where he turned into Cafu for Stoke and was scoring every week. So I don't know whether that value's dipped, whether it's just one where you sell now while it's probably the highest it's going to be. It's weird if in that Nuno system he wasn't quite the right build for a right wing back or that right-sided centre half, was he? So he never really made it in that year. Whether there's a place for him now, as we say, we haven't really got a backup right back if Johnny goes. So maybe there's a world in which he stays, but yeah, it's probably I'd go for a loan.
Dion Sanderson as well, Finn. Another half decent loan spell at Birmingham. There are suitors in their championship teams. I think Birmingham, Sunderland, Stoke have been linked with him. Do you think this is the summer that we finally sell Dion Sanderson again? Probably get a few million for him.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, probably a sell. I haven't watched him much this season. One of my best mates is a Blues fan, and he used to rave about him, and he's gone a little bit quieter. So that's all I've got to go off. So maybe it's a sell.
Yeah, George, what do you reckon?
Sell. Like I think he'll have a good football career. Just probably not at not at the Premier League level. So yeah, I think we've got to sell him at this moment in time.
Yeah, Matt, I think George summed it up there again. Good footballer, but probably never going to break into that Wolves first team.
Yeah, I think it's time now. Time to move on.
Yeah, that'll be a sell. And the final player, Matt, Bendergood's Boller. Never loan out. Never actually seen him wear the old gold shirt. Was in the Hungary national team, but been out on loan at Grasshoppers. There were rumours that he was going to be moved on last summer. We kept him and sent him out on loan. Do you think again this is the summer we sell him, or do you think Lopetegui?
Careful, everybody. Careful, because Totti was my left back and Boller was my right back in that save. So let's all speak respectfully, please.
Yeah.
Do you think Lopetegui could maybe give him a chance in pre-season?
I'll just do whatever Bendergood's Boller wants to do. I ain't giving the keys to the city. Loan, sale, definitely not one for the first team though. If you're still playing for Grasshoppers.
Yeah, George, what do you reckon?
Yeah, sell, loan. I think I did actually get to watch him at Molineux when he ran out in that 4-0 win at.
Did he play that game? Did he?
I don't know if he come off the. I think he might come off the bench.
Played the first game against England a couple of years ago.
Again, I could be wrong. I just know I bought those tickets for Father's Day, and when the third goal went in, my dad went, "This is the fucking worst present you've ever bought me." Like, yeah, cheers, Dad. I know, but yeah, he's not going to play for us, is he? So just get rid.
Yeah, Finn, what do you reckon?
As a man that keeps track of his career, I saw he wasn't involved in the Grasshoppers game today. I don't know if that's because he's not very good or whether he's injured. So
he was on the bench for that game, George. Sorry.
Oh, was he? For the Wolves one. So yeah, if he's not quite cutting it there, then yeah, I don't know what are you going to do? You're not going to get much for him. 23 years old, 22 years old, I assume by now. He is 23. Yeah, so there's not much there. I don't think. I'd go with whatever the majority is.
Yeah, I'd probably sell him. I think at this sort of age, he needs to be playing a much higher level of football. We might be wrong. We'll put a sell on Bendergood's Boller. The only other player was Jason Mascara, but I'm not including him because he's out on loan again till
They're top
January.
of the league, they are.
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
He's been in team of the year twice already, so this is wise. Decent loan move for him. But that is the end of the Goalkeepers to Defenders part of our Sell, Loan, Keep series. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We'll be back with the next two parts over the next couple of days. And we'll see you guys very, very soon.